bios yet.
Would you mind when you have a minute? Just short.
I was looking at the ones I have this morning, so I'll just send you something and tell me if I need to put more or less. Probably more, because it's probably it's 2 lines.
Okay, we'll look at that. And we've got, is that Everard there?
Yes.
Hi, Everard.
Let me turn up my camera.
Yeah. Hey, great to see you. And Wade's there too. Hi, Wade.
Hey, Wade.
Hello. Nice to meet everybody, and nice to see familiar faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like we have a good connection with Dr. Everett.
Yeah, I can hear you very, very well.
Excellent.
Good. Us too.
Everett, are you?
Are you calling in from Rwanda?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I'm calling from Rwanda.
Where in Rwanda are you? Are you in Kigali? Are you in Butaro or?
No, I'm in Kigali.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Nice.
Great connection. Yeah, it's amazing. Bishop Jenny said she might be a few minutes late.
Okay.
I think she's probably, she may be in another Zoom room at the moment.
Yeah, likely. Yeah.
given our realities these days. So we'll just give her a minute. And we're also joined by Michelle, who is Will Postma's executive assistant and is helping us with the tech. And I just see a text from Carolyn saying live stream on YouTube is working great. We're going to use that as well for the AGM so that the broader public can join us, is my understanding. Am I right about that, Michelle?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So only the voting members can join on Zoom, whereas the observers or other guests, they are going to see us on YouTube only.
Okay.
Yeah, but they can also put the questions in the YouTube chat if they have any questions for the panelists.
Oh, good to know.
Okay.
So it's like 2 ways, not just they
okay. Let's
listen.
maybe we'll ask Carolyn to try texting something into the chat on YouTube to see if that part is working as well.
Yeah, and we'll need to sort out who moderates the chats.
Yes, so I would need help on that because I will be moderating the Zoom parts. I need somebody to moderate or look on the YouTube. But yeah, we can look at that later probably.
Okay.
Yeah, we learn how to do that. Yeah,
we'll get that sorted out. Yeah. Yeah, because that's new to me too.
I've seen Facebook comments and whatnot, but I've not done YouTube.
Oh, I guess Carolyn's not hearing me, is she?
Yeah, she's hearing you. She just can't talk back to you.
She said, I just texted.
Yeah, so Michelle, can you check the YouTube comments to see if you got something from
there is a 10 to 15 minutes lag between YouTube and the actual Zoom meeting, so probably that's the...
Okay, so you won't necessarily see her text until a little later.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll sort out that technology. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just trying to think. I don't want to get too far ahead of our. Oh, there's
Jenny.
Hey. Oh, good. Hello.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. That's okay.
You're not all that late.
I was just about trying to play for time.
Oh, great. Okay. Do you mind if I be rude and eat a little bit at my desk? I don't have a lunch today and I've just kind of got to go straight through. So my mother would be horrified at my bad manners. But if you could be forgiving, I'd be grateful.
We don't want you passing out. That would not be good.
and we won't tell your mom. So that's okay.
Thank you.
Unless she's watching on YouTube, but that's
what happens on Zoom stays on Zoom. Bishop Jenny, maybe we should just do a quick round of introductions because most of you have not met each other. Kim, maybe we'll just start with you and
Okay, sure.
And yeah.
So my name is Kim Umbach, and I'm the volunteer coordinator with PWRDF, and I've been here for about 3.5 years now. And so I will be trying to corral people and get them interested in the webinar or in the panel, and kind of supporting any way I can.
Musu?
Okay, so I am the Director of Resources and Public Engagement at the Canadian Food Grains Bank. I've been in this position for about 2 years, and I'm happy to be part of this panel.
Wade, could you go next?
Sure. Wade Zamachek. I work with Village Healthworks. We're a NGO based in Burundi. We've been working with PWRDF for the last 5 years or so to help serve a population of around 200,000 people in the southern part of the country.
Thanks, Wade. And Everard, way over there in Rwanda.
Hi everyone. So my name is Everard Nahimana. I work with Partners in Health as Africa Region Policy and Partnership Advisor. It's a new position, actually. I started this month, but I've been working with PIH for the last 10 years. So I was the Chief Medical Officer for Partners in Health in Rwanda. So we've been working with the PWRDF for the AMCC project, All Mothers Children Count project. That was, we started 4 years ago. And recently we are partnering together around COVID to provide a comprehensive COVID response where we work. Again, it's such a pleasure to be part of, this team, and hopefully we'll have a very productive panel. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Everett, and thanks for stepping in when Dr. Joel was not able to be with us. So great to have you. Bishop Jenny, is your mouth full, or can you introduce yourself?
I can introduce myself. Thanks so much, Suzanne. And it's lovely to get to briefly meet all of you. And I am so sick of Zoom, but when I have a Zoom meeting like this, which makes me connect with people around the world, I thank God for the technology. So I am one of the bishops in the Diocese of Toronto, and we're a large diocese. We have about 200 congregations, and I oversee about 50 of the congregations in the west end of our diocese. And one of its claims to fame is it's the most racially diverse part of North America. So I have congregations that represent the globe. I have a congregation of people from Kenya and from Ghana and the Philippines and, mainland China and, sort of you name it, Mongolians, you name it, we have it, which is really, really marvelous. And this year I've got the privilege of now serving as the bishop on the board of PWRDF. So I help represent PWRDF to the national community of bishops across Canada and vice versa. So it's great to be here with you today.
Thanks so much, Bishop Jenny. And Michelle, do you want to just say hello?
Hi, so I'm the executive assistant at PWRDF, and I assist Will Postma and the board of directors. And organizing this virtual AGM is a big task for this year. Yeah.
Doing everything online seems to be doubling efforts, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And just finally, I'm Suzanne Rumsey, and I am the public engagement coordinator at PWRDF. I've been with the organization for almost 20 years, for the first 10 as the Latin America and Caribbean program coordinator, and for the last 10 as the public engagement coordinator. So thank you all very much for being willing to both be part of this planning and of the panel itself. I'm aware that we're all up to our eyeballs and spending way too much time on Zoom, but I think what we're finding is that this format is an opportunity for folk who wouldn't necessarily join us, especially for an AGM, to have the chance to hear about the work. And we really thought it would be important for folk across the country to be able to touch base with, in this case, three partners, representing three partner organizations. And as I mentioned, we thought we would try to frame it around the moment we're in. I mean, it's our reality right now. We're all experiencing it, but it's impacting each of us, each of our organizations a bit differently. And so we've got an hour for this panel, and are hoping, Bishop Jenny, that you could lead Musa, Varda, and Wade through some of these questions or others, but also some conversation. And I think, Kim, help me remember, I think we were sort of looking at about 40 minutes for the panel, and then 20 for question and answer. For Q&A. And if we finish before an hour, that's okay, but we won't extend it beyond an hour. No, I think that'd be quite a lot of questions.
Down again, Suzanne, you said 40 minutes for the panel.
For the panel,
20 minutes for Q&A with the panelists.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
And is that for people who were on the webinar to kind of raise their hands and ask questions? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We'll probably
that'll
also
be in Zoom, as well as those that are on YouTube apparently can ask questions.
Yeah, and we staff will figure out that there's a chat, as you know, on Zoom, and then there's a chat in YouTube, and we'll confer about how to manage that and let you know what we're gonna how we're gonna deal with that.
Sure.
We won't try to do that right now.
No, of course.
It's that it's but I also mentioned, I think in my message, that most people will be familiar with Village Healthworks, Partners in Health, CFGB, or they'll think they know what they are. So I think it wouldn't hurt to start, before we kind of start naming the moment and kind of how we're dealing with it, start with just a bit of a round of introductions and ask each of the panelists to say a few words about their organizations and what they do, just so that we're sure to kind of start with the same sets of information about the organizations that are represented.
And I'm mindful of how an hour sounds like a long time. It'll actually go really quickly. And do we want to, if you've done these before, you may have some wisdom. Do we want to have a kind of standardized introduction, like what each person is saying about their organization? Or do you want to just leave it up to people to introduce their organization as they feel they want to?
What's the feeling of the group? I would suggest maybe we just give you each a time and you decide what you want to say in that
time would be better, so that it's not one person talking for 10 minutes and one person talking for 2 minutes.
Yes, I agree. Okay.
So thinking, I haven't thought through that.
I'd say maximum of 2 minutes each. But
2 minutes each?
I would, because there you're going to actually get 10 minutes, and there's 10 of your 40 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
That's great.
Okay.
So 2-minute introduction, and I've been known to be gentle yet ruthless about cutting people off after the 2 minutes. So
if
how
you
about,
can do it in less than 2, that would be even better, but that's may not be reasonable.
Sure. So I can start it off and sort of just welcome everybody and set the stage. And I'll tell people, Suzanne, at the beginning that there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end and for people to save their questions. And maybe you can let me know what the function is going to be to ask the questions, so I can just tell people at the beginning, right?
Yeah, Bishop Jenny, it probably would be helpful, instead of telling them to save their questions, have them type them into the chat box, so whether they're watching on YouTube or on Zoom, they would have the opportunity to type them into into the chat or the comments boxes, and they can do that at any time, and we will.
That's what I mean. I think
yeah.
once you two have conferred about the best way for questions to get out, tell me what it is, and then I'll say it at the very beginning. Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
That's
so then
good.
I'll kind of welcome everybody, set the stage, tell them about questions, and then hand it over for a 2-minute introduction from each of the three of you. And then go right into the panel questions. And thanks for sending them out again, Suzanne. Does that make sense?
How do people feel about those? So we thought we'd start with, you know, what you'll have talked about what your organizations are, but then sort of looking at, you know, what has COVID meant in terms of the work that you're doing? Has it changed it? Has it provided opportunities for collaboration that had not existed before? Is it exposing issues that you're having to address as agencies? That sort of set of, you know, what's the same or different right now in terms of what you're dealing with? Does that sound like a sort of a good first set of questions? Or are there other questions that you'd like to answer?
I think these are, I'll jump in first. I think these are good questions to start. I think for all of this, at least for the way that I'm thinking about this is its context, you know, so while COVID is wreaking havoc on the world, it's not having a huge impact where we are in Burundi, but it's changing the way we're doing business. So I think like that question kind of allows us to introduce how we're using your funds, but also less specifically, more broadly, how we're responding to this and why is it essential that there's certain things that we need to be able to have to respond to this, but also be prepared on the next side of the next pandemic or the next issue that's going to be facing our community. So I think these questions allow for us to answer them specifically, but allow us to also think more broadly about how PWRDF is working and partnering with us, or how we're thinking about these things, so that we're building systems or strengthening things so that we're better prepared for when the next pandemic comes. So I think these questions allow us to go into allow us, at least me, to go into various different directions. And I think that's helpful.
Okay.
I think these are really good questions. My concern is, as Bishop Jenny said, it sounds like a lot of time, but it will go really quickly.
Yeah.
So I think 4 questions is too many, because each of these questions are actually quite involved.
Yeah.
They are all good questions, and to do them justice, I think if we have 40 minutes for the panel, then if we've introduced and we've had that introduction time, that's probably 10 minutes. So we're looking about 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
And to address these 4 questions in approximately 10 minutes, I think would be a bit of a stretch. That's my impression.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there are, in some of these, 3 or 4 questions within each one of the questions.
My recommendation to start would be like the medium short-term future for our particular organizations. I think that would be one that we could probably eliminate and then maybe talk about the other 3. Because what we're talking about more is partnership in our work, right? So rather than giving sort of organizational information, I don't think for what we're trying to achieve here is what we need to do.
Okay.
You're suggesting that we drop the short to medium term question. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Would other people feel comfortable with dropping that one question? Because I think you're right. I think 3 questions is going to be better than 4. And in fact, each question has 2 or 3 subsets. So would people feel comfortable dropping that number 3 one then, the short to medium term?
I think that I take Musa's point completely. That question may come, or that issue of sort of where we're going, I think may come up in the questions from the audience, you know, so what next might come from them. So yeah, I agree. Let's drop that one.
Also, I mean, thinking about how to answer some of those other questions, it's impossible not to sort of also answer that question in some ways, I think, as well. So I think it'll come up and be answered naturally in some ways.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that sound okay with you, Everard?
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good to me. I wanted to add that, of course, in the intro, we may try to describe briefly, like the work we're doing with our organization, but it's also important to give a bit of background on the context. So there's on the organization, but there's also like Rwanda as a country, and like how COVID is, I don't know, affecting the country in general, and I think also in Burundi. Yeah, so that sort of
very different.
Yeah.
Very different, but the context, the country context, it's kind of very important.
I think so too.
Will that come up in the first question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we can give that in the first question. Combining with the introduction, of course, yeah.
I think you both make an important point in that, just, as a listener to the news, the Canadian news here, we hear a lot about COVID in Canada, and then we get this much about COVID in the rest of the world, particularly in Africa.
Well, we hear a lot about COVID in the US.
So yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Probably more of that than Canada even.
Trump's rallies, we know what's going on, but not the rest of the world.
We're doing great, aren't we?
Yeah, the US is #1 again. Well done.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Very
But
proud.
in terms of Rwanda and Burundi, I think you're right. Context is really important. And, there's this sense that, or this, it's been said, COVID's affecting everyone. Well, it's affecting, yes, it is, but it's different, right? Depending on your context. So point well taken, yeah, to paint a bit of a picture of what that it's looking like where you are and what that means for your work.
Yeah, it actually would be, we could do a whole panel on the differences on how Rwanda and Burundi are confronting this panel, and it would be fascinating.
Right.
It would be so interesting.
Well, maybe that's another webinar.
It wouldn't paint Burundi in the best light, unfortunately. But
then we could do one on Canada and the US. That would be
yes, it's similar mentality.
So we can gloat or something?
Yeah, right.
These are twin countries. These are, we call it like twin countries. Rwanda and Burundi, we have like history and almost the same history, like political background. But now I think in terms of, leadership, management, the health system, totally different. But I'm glad, I'm also glad that we have someone working in Burundi. I'm actually from Burundi.
Oh.
I was born in Burundi, but now I live in Rwanda. My wife is Rwandan, so I can actually see the, compare the two countries and how the two countries have a lot of things in commonalities, but also a lot of differences. Sure.
Okay.
We'd have a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
And also, just with that, then the context of MUSU and CFGB and how you're working in various parts of the world. So it's not just these two countries, but that other context as well.
And I suppose that was my question. When we talk about setting up context, would you want me to hone in on sort of maybe some kind of, because we work in so many countries, do we talk more about global context, maybe regional differences, or maybe just hone in on where we're working with PWRDF? If we're talking about context and the projects you're working on with Food Grains Bank, what do you think would work for the purposes of this webinar?
I'll jump in, but
yeah,
other people, please feel free to differ. As my sense is there's so much you could cover, Musu, is that it would probably be best to focus on the areas that PWRDF is working in, and to help people see, what the organization that they're supporting, PWRDF, how is it impacting that specifically? That's my sense. Suzanne, I saw you nodding. Would that
Yeah,
be,
I think that
agree with
makes sense. I mean, there's another webinar is, what are the impacts in very, globally and in all the places CFGB is working. So I think, we're going to need to ask you to focus it a bit. I also saw your note, Musu, about even reducing the questions down to 2. So I had a thought, see what others think, that we ask you all to tackle those, I'll call them sets of questions, those first 2 sets of questions. And then I wonder, Bishop Jenny, if we give a little time at the end, maybe again, it's a 2 minutes each for wrap up, which is that last question about what is the message to PWRDF in terms of our collaboration going forward. And so that as a kind of a way of concluding the panel. Would that make sense?
I'm just making, it makes sense to me. I'm writing that down so that we would use the bulk of the 40 minutes to look at the first 2 sets of questions.
Yeah.
Correct. And then a last, 6 minutes to wrap up. Everybody again gets 2 minutes to wrap up using that last question. And then we hand over to question and answer. Is that what I'm hearing, Suzanne?
We could do it that way, or we could do that last question after the Q&A.
Oh, I see.
Do that last question as a kind of, this is the message we want to leave with you.
Right. Okay.
Would that, we could do it either way. I'm not sure which would be better.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
And where do I get to do my jokes?
You do your jokes? Oh, well.
What's that?
Whatever you choose.
I've been working on all my jokes.
Well.
That's the privilege of the moderator to figure out whether
you can tell as many jokes as you want.
That's you way.
Yeah. Does it make sense to do it before the Q&A or after? If we do it before, there may be questions in response, but leaving it to the end kind of leaves a final message from you. Like you have the last word, as it were, as a panel.
It just, I remember, so there's some value to that with leaving with a message. And I know we did that with a panel we did with the last webinar. And we ended up sort of dropping that last question because we were running short on time. So it could either we really enforce and stay until the end and have them finish, or that gets dropped because the Q&A goes too long. So that's the flip side of what could happen.
I agree with you on that, Kim. I think it's a matter of time management. I think it's a really good, important question, and I'd love to hear what everybody has to answer on that one. But it could get lost if we wait till the end.
I can say my jokes are bad, but my time management is good.
It's good.
And no, I am awesome. Actually, I joked about being gentle but ruthless, but I am. So I think I can, if we decide to leave it to the end, because I think in an ideal world, it is a nice note to end on, the panelists getting the last word, looking towards the future, and a kind of an encouragement to PWRDF supporters.
Yeah.
And I can commit to you to good time management so Wade, it doesn't get dropped off at the end.
Yeah, I trust you. You seem
And I think, Bishop Jenny, if it's, if it's a matter of not responding to a question, then we can say to that person, we're short on time.
Of course.
We could follow up with that person if needs be, but
And
so
if it was a dumb question, we just ignore it.
Sounds good. Yeah, so we'll do the first 2 Q&A, and then the final word to you responding to that last set of questions.
Suzanne, I'm taking notes here, but it would be helpful. It's what I find so challenging about this season is some days I'm allowed in my office and some days I have to work from home. And I worry about leaving documents on my desk and then find out it's a day I'm working from home. Would you mind just typing out that little agenda we've just agreed to again?
Sure.
So that I have it in my inbox in case it's a day I've left a document on my desk and I'm at home.
For sure. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll maybe what I'll do this today, but I'll send it all to you again the day of. I know if your inbox looks like mine, yeah,
gotta go digging.
I'm constantly losing things. So I'll do that. Okay. Is there anything else we should check about?
I have two questions.
Question.
Go ahead, Evan.
Sorry. Is the webinar accessible to everyone, or it's maybe limited to some people? Because there are some folks. Joel was asking if people here can have access to that webinar.
So they can have the link to the YouTube, the live. So what we're doing is it's on Zoom, and Zoom is open to our voting members, and then there's the live streaming on YouTube. So that link can be made available to anybody.
Sounds
So
good.
we'll be sure to send Kim the YouTube link to Everard.
Yeah,
share,
so
or how
Michelle and I will figure out about what is required as far as whether she needs to know for registration or just sending out the link. So, but one way or the other, we'll get the link to Everett.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I would take the link as well if there's other,
Okay.
because there'd be some
Perfect.
great, I think some board members
Yeah,
or.
Okay.
We'll send
And
it to all of
Musu.
you then. Yeah, and Musu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And Bishop Jenny. We'll send it to everybody. Yeah.
great.
Do you know, will the recording be available for any length of time or just on the day?
We're planning to make it available for like 10 or 15 days after the AGM.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Wade?
Yeah, I had two questions. First of all, what is our screen going to look like when we're doing this? Is it going to be like, are we going to look at just the panelists and Bishop Jenny, or is there going to be other people on the screen? Just trying to figure out what this is going to look like. It's like when I turn on my screen, I'm a little bit mentally prepared.
Good question.
Michelle?
So for the panelists, I think Bishop Jenny is first going to ask the question and then each panelist is going to answer it. So I think we're going to make it to a speaker view. So only when you are speaking, your face would show up on YouTube because there will be around 20 plus people on Zoom. So I don't want everybody's faces showing up on YouTube. So only it's only the speaker view on Zoom. Make sense?
Okay.
I think there's a way, if you are freaked out by looking at yourself, a way to actually turn off your own image. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes. So, there's an option to hide self view if you're conscious. I know. Yeah. So on your name, you see the top 3 dots. You just click on it, and it says hide self view.
Yep.
So it just makes you less conscious when you're speaking.
Oh yeah. How do you get it back?
Oh,
should be able to say show self, shouldn't it?
Oh, there it is. Show self if you say that 10 times fast.
I was on a Zoom call last night with some wardens from a particular parish, and they were not happy wardens. And I got on the Zoom call, and they were meeting together in an office, but they had put up a picture instead of their face, and it was a picture of Darth Maul. Star Wars. So I had to have this entire conversation with this
Darth Maul.
Intense picture of Darth Maul.
Nice. That's nice.
I like that. That's really funny.
That's hilarious. Well, yeah, probably wasn't for poor Bishop Jenny.
Happy with me. No, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Oh man.
Yeah. How do you let your feelings be known without actually saying anything?
My last question is if there's any pitfalls or areas that we should definitely avoid. I think PWRDF seems very open and from my experience, but if there's any areas that you guys are just based on experience or based on doctrine that you think makes sense to just not touch, let me know.
I can't think of anything.
Can't think of anything either.
Kim or Michelle or Bishop Jenny?
Bishop Jenny?
Knowing.
I mean, if you say something objectionable, we'll just mute you in the middle of the webinar.
Become Darth Maul.
Yeah, we'll put up Darth Maul and we'll just mute you. So it'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think this group is too controversial, but I just wanted to make sure that there's not.
Yeah, no, and I
don't think
think,
so.
you know, as I said in the last, last set of questions, this is a, you know, I think we need to be challenged by you, our partners. I mean, I think partnership isn't just about, you know, you telling us how wonderful our support is, but I think challenging us about, you know, what our response needs to be in this time and into the future. And that, you know, that may be around, you know, everything from PPE to reproductive rights and health, or, you know, whatever. I think people are open to that. And if you know, if there's an issue with, or, you know, if someone in the audience has an issue with that, then they need to talk to PWRDF. You know, that's not your problem.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thanks, Susan.
Yeah. Anything else that you can think of right now?
So there'll be detailed instructions on what the link is for the day of. If do we maybe log in a little bit earlier to test some things, or is it just kind of?
Oh, good question. This is coming. Michelle, this is the business part happens first, correct? And then the panel.
Yes, but there is no break in between. So
and there's no break. So, and you may or may not want to sit in on the business part. We hadn't talked about that. Thoughts, Kim or Bishop Jenny or Michelle? What do you think?
I don't think it will be entirely disruptive if they come on a bit early for the panel, but during the business meeting. Just make sure that when you do come on, if you aren't muted already, that you mute yourself until the business meeting is done. But then at least you'll kind of hear and know if your technology is working.
Yeah, the hitch in this ordering is that we can't sort of, unless you come on for the whole thing, we can't check in before in midstream. That's
and
the
that seems like a lot to ask them to stay on for 2 hours instead of 1 hour. Especially for a business meeting, sorry, boring, but.
So I wonder if, just in case there's a glitch, whether maybe again as staff, we can sort out if one of you has a problem getting on and we're in mid-flight in the AGM, who do you contact? Like, who's looking for you?
Right.
I
don't mind doing that. Now, Michelle is sort of in charge of this link, but as long as we have it, but I'll check email, and certainly if we're running really behind or anything crazy like that, to make sure that we email any last minute instructions out.
Okay.
Or text message or?
Text I could do, as long as you give me your telephone numbers.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if we need to, we could circulate those or with you, or send them to you or something.
Yeah, that'd be fine if you don't mind.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Texting to Rwanda, is that
possible?
Or would it? WhatsApp?
Should work.
WhatsApp.
Oh, I don't have WhatsApp.
Okay.
I do, so I could get
so
that.
You do it then. Okay. Yeah.
If Everard, if you could send me your WhatsApp information.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yes.
Okay.
Suzanne, then you might be able to create a group then that you can put messages in if there's last minute instructions.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you on WhatsApp, Musu? And Wade, do you use it?
Yep.
Bishop Jenny?
Yep.
Okay, let's do that. So if everyone could send me their WhatsApp coordinates, that would be good.
We'll do that.
Okay.
And I'm just looking at my calendar. I do not have the login information for the meeting on Friday, next Friday.
I don't think any of us do yet.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
No, so
Sorry.
I'm just sending out tomorrow the whole package.
Okay, perfect.
And Musa, you're going to send me a bio. Michelle, when do you, I've got the various bios. When do you need those?
By tomorrow.
By tomorrow. Okay.
I have it open on my desktop. I mean, do you want something? Is it like two-liners or
Yeah,
something
really.
Yeah.
formal? Yeah, okay,
Just short.
two-liners. Then
Yeah.
it will come as soon as we shut down this.
Okay, so I'll get those all to you, Michelle. If not by the end of today, then tomorrow morning.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Everard, it's probably dinner time where you are. It's lunchtime here.
Yeah, well, it's 6:30, 6:40, but it's okay.
Okay, good.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks everyone
Thank you.
again.
Thank you,
And
Suzanne.
yeah, I hope
Thanks, guys.
I'm excited. This is going to be really
It'll be
fun.
fun.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
If you think of
Thank you so much.
anything, yeah, any questions, wonderings, just send us an email and we'll follow up between now and
Perfect.
next Friday. Okay.
Great.
All right.
I don't
Thanks
know
so
if you
much.
heard, but Sophie had her baby. I don't know if you guys must know Sophie.
Yes.
Years.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. I just want to make sure that if you hadn't heard the good news, it's healthy and she's
Yeah.
doing well. So,
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
all right.
Good.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Look
All
forward
right.
to seeing you all
Bye.
again. Bye.
Bye.
Next Friday.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.